Okay. Okay, I guess we'll get underway. Welcome everybody to our Town Neepawa Council meeting for November 17th. We are in code red, as we all know, and we have social distance as much as we can tonight, and we've made a conscious decision to wear our masks. And Councilor Gerard, although you can't see him on the camera, he's taken one for the team, and he's sitting behind the camera to give us enough room at the table to try to get our 6 feet. So thank you, Councilor Gerard, and maybe we'll see you at some point. Okay, so we're going to move forward with the approval of the agenda. Everybody's had a chance to review it, and if everybody's comfortable with that, can I get a motion, please? Moved by Councilor Pablo, second by Councilor Costa. Be it resolved, the Council of Town Neepawa approves the regular meeting agenda for November 17, 2020. All in favor? Carried. Okay, the approval of the minutes. Everybody's had a chance to review last meeting's minutes. If there's no errors or omissions, everybody's comfortable with that. Can I move forward with a motion on that? Moved by Mayor Headley, seconded by Councilor Nadeau. Be it resolved, the Council of Town Neepawa approve the minutes of the regular meeting and annual organizational meeting held November 3rd, 2020 as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we are into council reports. Anybody got a council report?
Well, I guess I could report that for our meetings coming up, planning board and clinic committee meetings, we're probably going to be doing the best we can with teleconference or Zoom.
Okay.
And that all the committees that the town is involved in are still operating. And I suppose I'll leave any public works to Denise.
Okay. Anybody else have a council report? Oh, Darryl, sorry. I forgot you were back there. Councilor Drive.
Yes, White Mud Watershed District 39 today. We have had a meeting this morning. We were just talking in terms of conversations of what happened through the watershed over the summer months. Good information and a lot of conversation regarding the flood events that did occur within the district. After we had talked about that, we spoke specifically to some of the damage in terms of water retention and projects that were above the community and the future impact that that can have as a result of those rain events that occurred. And there is significant damage above that could pose potential threats to the Neepawa going forward unless they're repaired and addressed. Of course, we also had some conversations. The surrounding areas want to know what Neepawa is going to do with our large water retention project within the watershed. So we just kind of briefly alluded to the fact that we have retained the services of Stantec, and we're working on some different research and hopefully to get some recommendations back by February. At that same time, our community rep, Bill Stillwell, referred to some of the ecological damage that occurred as a result to our trout fisheries and that. Actually, most people don't realize that this district actually has the southernmost naturally occurring brook trout fishery in the province. So our watershed is very important. As well, we also talked about potential for being able to apply under the disaster financial assistance up until the CAO, Suggestion will have to remind me the date, it's December the 3rd. And we can access funds to start doing some repair on those projects up there, except we've got a very short time window to apply for that. So nice brief 1 hour meeting, and yeah, a lot of concern and caution going on, just how we repair what happened and how we can protect our district going forward.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Gerard. Any questions, any comments? Okay, if there's no other council reports, then we'll move on to Denise, Manager of Operations.
Thank you. So, Public Works has been very busy with some water and sewer services. They still have an ongoing list that will be digging into the coming months as well. Those are residential renewals. As many of you know, we've put up our Christmas decorations, so we have our holiday lights on all the street lights now, and I believe the Palo Tree Care lights are also up. Staff have also been busy with potholes, and will continue as any new ones resurface. Work on our lagoon has been slowed down somewhat, but there still is action happening at the new site, and we're hoping and hopefully in the coming weeks be able to start processing some effluent through our new facility on a reduced rate, but we'll still see some action in that way. With the implementation of Code Red for the whole province, we've segregated our staff out so there's less intermingling and done our best efforts to ensure that they don't associate with anyone where it's very minimal. On another note, we finally did get some flood reports for the culvert sizing for our dike on the Walker side and for the Mill Street side. So those have been ordered and we'll try to get those installed again this year.
Okay. I did notice is that you do have that hot asphalt recycling machine finally did get going, and was it on the streets a little bit before freezing?
Yep, they're using a mix as a pre-warmer for our cold mix, so we still haven't utilized it to its full potential yet with the weather being so cool, but it is repaired, it is working, staff are getting familiar with it, so.
And what did they think of it?
No news is good news in my book, so no one called to back on it, so there wasn't 4 pieces of machinery, so it obviously is working well if they're not complaining.
Okay, good. So again, it'll be done now until spring, right?
Yeah, we'll still, like I said, we'll use the gold mix now on any potholes with this cooler temperature, but come warmer weather, we'll be able to start implementing the full recycling process. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, moving on to correspondence. Colleen, the CP holiday training.
So the previous meeting, I mentioned that there will be no physical holiday train come through. We will do it by a virtual concert in lieu of the typical. And just to read out for the public, and there are posters, you know, I have them around. And Jeremy can take that if he likes for his notes or perhaps someone. Serena Ryder and the Drews will headline the CP Holiday Train at-home concert, which will also feature performances by JoJo Mason, Logan Stas, and Kelly Prescott. And there's a Facebook feed that you can visit. It'll be our posters and our advertising. There's a live premiere that's going to happen on Saturday, December 12th at 6 p.m. And then, of course, they mentioned that they will still make a donation to the local food bank.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, we have the Home Assistance Neepawa District hand funding request.
So I sit on this board, and this is an annual donation request. It says on behalf of the hand, we would like to thank the town for their past support. We appreciate the contribution of appointing a member from your council to the board, as well as the financial contribution you have made to our programs. We request the same contribution for 2020. That would be 2021.
Yeah.
A member of our board, 55 cents per capita donation to our organization. That's on behalf of the hand board, Chairman Rod Shuttleworth and Coordinator Jeannie Barley and Donna Newton is his secretary.
Okay, any questions, any comments? Okay, is that a request that's...
We'll turn it over to Jamie for budget purposes.
Okay. And Brian, I think you're next on the Hugs for Holidays Senior Edition too?
Yeah, so this, what we have here is, we know at Christmas time that it's a great time for children, but you know a local senior that could use a little extra cheer this Christmas. So the Neepawa Kin Club and HAN has created a new promotion called Hugs for the Holidays Senior Edition. So what this means is there's going to be a nomination sheet. Well, there's 4 ways to nominate a senior. First of all, you can go on to www.surveymonkey.com. There will be some posters. There'll probably be one at the post office. It has a QR code on it. You can, if your phone has a QR code reader, you can scan that. You can also nominate a senior through the Neepawa Kin Club Facebook page, or by calling the hand office at 476-2009. So the idea behind the promotion is that you will fill out online, you will fill out a nomination form. It'll have a senior's name, their physical address for delivery, phone number. On your nomination, you would suggest, they're suggesting between $20 and $30 gift. And that can be multiple items. Then the idea is once the nomination form has been sent in, the Kin Club and Hand will send out to different businesses around the community one of these mittens. And the mittens, a person from the community could take a mitten, go out, purchase the information on the mitten, then take the mitten plus the gift and drop it off either at the Salvation Army or at the Hand office. At that time, there'll be bags put together, and then the group will deliver the bags around to seniors within the community before Christmas time. So I think this is a wonderful promotion. It's very timely, and really will show our seniors that your community cares about you. So I would really encourage people to take a look at this. I think this is a fantastic idea for the holiday season.
Yeah, no, I agree. In the COVID world, it's great to have a promotion like that. No, that's great. Okay, thank you. Colleen, Town of Neepawa, Beautiful Plains Archive.
So we received a letter from the Beautiful Plains Archives. They would like to request a meeting with us to discuss the acquiring of our early records for the town of Neepawa. They are a registered archive with the Manitoba Archives and are qualified to accept records so that information stays within the local area to make it accessible for the residents of the area and for researchers. The records to be considered for transfer to the archives would be assessment and collector tax rolls, minutes, bylaws, vital statistics, financial statements, maps, photos, videos, and any other records that tell the history of the town. In addition, they'd like to ask permission to use the storage room at the north end of the hall and the lower level of the county court building. 2 designated rooms that are housing the archival records will soon be reaching their capacity. In the last few months, the archives acquired the records from the Arnold Langford and gradually transferring records from the Arnold Rosedale, and we're hoping that they can complete the history with our records. It just slips down when I talk.
Okay.
Just so you know, I have sent a request off to Manitoba Archives. They are registered, but my questions are more pertaining to the fact that is there certain criteria for storage over there? Because I would want to make sure that, you know, is it have to be fire rated building or not? And I'm not saying they're wrong in what they do. I just would feel more comfortable knowing that if we were to send them across the street and, you know, there was a fire, you know, they're about as safe here as they are there, really, if there isn't firewalls.
Councilor Barrett.
Do we not have the ability to send them the electronic versions, seeing as we've made a complete electronic file of all our documents?
No, we're not done, Murray. We've done our bylaws, our minutes, our resolutions, and there's still lots we've never done. So these would, all those books that sit on the back table back there, those are general ledgers and all of those things, those great big books, those need to be archived as well. They just need to be sorted.
But we could give them the electronic versions of what we do.
No, they want the records.
But are we not responsible for keeping our records?
Yeah, well, they are a registered archive though, you see. So right now, in the municipal act, it tells us we have to work with our records for retention and disposal as we're told by the province. So there's certain records, after a certain period of time, they have to go to the archives which technically is the Manitoba Archives.
Right.
But what they're saying is there are local registered archives that could take them as well, as it's preferred sending them to Winnipeg if you want to keep them locally.
So once we've got them electronically done, and we would not need them anymore, we could then give them.
Yeah,
So your recommendation for the moment, though, Colleen, is to,
I want to hear back from the archives in Manitoba,
Right.
just to make me feel better
Yeah.
that it's
Okay.
acceptable.
okay,
It's
so we'll wait
acceptable.
on that before we make.
And I'm sure it is, I just, for my file, I would like to know, because when I used to work for the province, very clearly you had certain records, transfer lists you filled out, you had to track that appropriately, they had to go in, you were given a time to bring them in, you didn't bring them in at your own will, and they set them into the system properly, so if we set them just across the street locally, is there a process I have to follow? I don't know all of that.
Okay, so we'll wait on them to get back to us.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. New business, fire protection grants.
I'm gonna have to take this down, because it's gonna come down anyway,
Okay.
in the next few.
That's okay.
Fire protection grants, through the monies that have been coming out through the COVID event that's been occurring all year long, they actually opened up an intake for the ability of fire departments to apply for grants for fire protection. So we talked to Eads, who also talked to his firefighters over there. And we actually want to make application, and we did, for 8 things, but I also need now a resolution in support of it to say the council is supporting this application. So just very quickly, we're applying for a drying cabinet as our priority item, so this would be to actually properly dry any turnout gear that would come back and be wet. We don't have the ability to dry it properly. A thermal imaging camera, and although we do have one, it is probably not the highest capable camera that we could get. We just bought what we could afford, so it works. We're not saying it doesn't, but it doesn't hurt to have another one, maybe with more equipment on it. A Jaws of Life again, just to get more appropriate equipment that would be capable of working on more of the modern cars today, and then we'd have a second set. Hose tester, a side-by-side trailer, a water rescue boat, so we all know that there's potential to actually attend a water rescue, and we want to make sure we're equipped in case that happens again. Some wildland coveralls, which would be used in place of the full turnout gear when they're doing any control work around town. Because of course that adds to the wear and tear on your turnout gear. And a PPV super vac, and this would be, it's like a big fan basically that pulls the smoke and everything and clears the air when there's a fire structure, so it gives them the ability to understand more what they're dealing with. So I just ask that you pass a resolution and we can send that in tomorrow and attach it to our applications that Jody filed for us. And hopefully we get 1, if not 2, or maybe all 8.
Yeah,
Totally.
perfect. No?
Some items over here, so.
Okay, no, those are all great requests. I don't think we have any issue with that. We will move forward with the resolution. So, move by. Mr. Mayor. Second by. Councilor Cox. Whereas the town of Neepawa wishes to strengthen the fire protection capacity of the Neepawa Fire Department as part of the Neepawa Area Mutual Aid District. And whereas the ability to respond to calls and ensure an improved and timely outcome in all situations is premised on ensuring that an appropriate amount and level of equipment is available to meet the needs of the department and ensure protection of property, personnel, and the public. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Neepawa support applications to the Province of Manitoba Fire Protection Grant Program for items that will enhance the ability of the fire department to attend calls safely, efficiently, and effectively. All in favor? Carried. Okay, Colleen, municipal enforcement support program.
So we have had some discussions on this one. Basically, and you've all heard the news releases, the province has asked municipalities to participate in the enforcement of public health orders. So the information that we've gone forward with is that in discussion with the public health officer, the timing was very short to discuss this. She said, put your application in, it had to be in by last Friday, so we did. We're not suggesting at this point that any of our existing personnel be enforcement people, but this would give us the opportunity to hire a third party if we so decided to do so. We also, I think, because we weren't sitting as a council, the few of us that did kind of talk about this, we looked to the fact that we actually hire and employ 4 municipal police officers. We have the assistance of Kathleen from Public Health, who is in Neepawa once or twice a week. She said there's not a lot of complaints at this point coming for us, so for us to jump right on the bandwagon and get a person in place, probably not necessary even from her viewpoint at this moment. We also have the ability of all of the liquor and gaming people and the lotteries people who can enforce it do come around when they need to do their jobs as well. And we have the conservation officer in place. So in her opinion, does she believe we're kind of covered? Yes, she said she looks where this program would be more beneficial, and they are providing money to support this program, would be the larger centers where, you know, the population is so great that you couldn't possibly be everywhere. So this would be very advantageous. She also said, you know, if you look at places where they don't have an RCMP station or a municipal police officer employed in your area, this also probably would be advantageous for them. But she could not confidently say, and it's totally up to us, that we should launch right forward and say we have enough work for a person 40 hours a week, because we don't see that here either. It could happen if the numbers keep going. It went down a little bit today at 270 from, you know, going from the 300 and 400s. So our application is in there. There will be training offered. So in the meantime, in case they don't offer it often, this is the only first intake. I would propose that I would sit through the training and make sure that I understand what needs to be done. And if we choose to hire that third-party person, I think our discussion was 4 days to hire the right individual is really tough. We need a little bit of breathing room time to think about it. But we do want to put an application in there so that we are in the queue should we decide to move forward. And as Premier noted today, 46 municipal entities actually put in an application to be considered to participate in this program.
Yeah, I think we just didn't want to miss the window, right? Just as you said, we want to get in the queue, and we haven't made a decision whether this year, next year, what our process is going to be, but it will be available to us. So if we're all comfortable with that, we're going to move forward with the resolution. So move by Councillor Fair. Seconded by Councillor Pepper. Be it resolved, the town of Neepawa forward an application to the Municipal Enforcement Support Program. All in favor? Carried. Okay, our yearly snow removal agreement is calling.
Unless Denise wants to speak on it, not much to say other than both Pat Baker and Rob Smith are interested in continuing with the arrangement we've had for the last, I don't know, 3-4 years. Snow clearing within the town where they each basically take half of the town. The idea being one can't, the other probably could do the cover. So it's actually worked out quite well. The only change would be Rob Smith having increased by a fee of $10. So other than that, nothing has changed.
You've been happy, right, Denise? Everything's worked well? And
Yes, they work together really good, so you said it, when you covered with the other for a breakdown, it's proven itself to work, so.
okay. All right, I think the council's pretty comfortable with the arrangement that's been created too, so if everybody's happy with that, we'll move forward with the resolution. Moved by Councilor Underbill. Second by Councilor Fair. Be it resolved, the council of the town of Neepawa approved the renewal of contracts to P. Baker Backhoe Service and Rob Smith and Son Backhoe and Trucking Limited for the removal of snow within the town of Neepawa for the period ending December 31st, 2020. All in favor? Carried.
Just a question,
Yep.
should that be 21 or?
Oh, is it 21?
Well, 2021 is what it is actually.
Right.
Okay, so we'll, yeah, there, 21, you're right.
Okay, perfect. Thank you,
Fixed.
Jason.
Small letters, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're moving on to approving the fire department policy, junior membership. Oh, is that correct?
So there's two policies, as mentioned to you last meeting. You know, if you've had any questions on policy, it's taken a little while, but we've actually developed two new policies. One is the junior member community service credit program policy, which we've worked extensively, Jody has with the school, to make sure that we are complying and fall within the scope of what they will offer credit for there. And then, of course, the Neepawa Fire Department operating policy. We did not have a specific operating policy for the fire department members before. We basically relied on an old bylaw from the 80s that was lacked clarity, lacked some detail. It worked, yes, possibly, but even the Office of the Fire Commissioner more recently in the last few years has said that municipalities have to take better charge of their fire departments so that they clearly understand they are employees of the town or the RM. They can't be left to flounder on their own. The municipalities have to know that they have to make sure they are provided with the equipment they need for safety purposes, and that we treat them, even though they're volunteer, that we treat them like a casual employee and give them some parameters with which to operate. So we have created those policies now for junior members and for the regular members, and once these are passed, they will be shared with all the members who are aware they're coming, and make sure they have some governance of some sort to feel like they're part of the town, basically.
Okay, makes sense. Any questions, any comments? Okay, I think we'll move forward with that resolution then. Moved by Councilor Costa, second by Councilor Conlon. Be it resolved that we hereby approve the following policy: OPSF 045, Neepawa Fire Department Junior Member Community Service Credit Program, OPSF 046, Neepawa Fire Department Operating Policy. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have a licensing agreement, software agreement, Colleen?
So this is just an annual agreement as well. Munaware is the software we use for all our accounting functions, and we want to renew that agreement, both for the software support and the software licensing. And just the only note is that because of the effects of COVID, they are choosing not to increase their fees for the agreements for 2021.
Okay, pretty straightforward. I think we can move forward with that resolution. Moved by Councilor Zoe, second by Deputy Mayor Headley. Be it resolved that we authorize the CEO to sign the software support and licensing agreements with the Neepawa for 2021. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're into approving a subdivision shortened process.
Okay, I'll need to excuse myself for this one.
Okay.
Although there is a pretty picture on my computer
Okay.
of plan building.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Perez, excuse me.
Okay, this is subdivision 4437-20-8231, and it falls under the category of a minor subdivision because there are no complications. Proposal to subdivide the part of the southwest 331415, or known as Lot B, Plan 56726, and the applicant would be Mary Glen Parrott. This application is consistent with the development plan and meets the provincial criteria for a minor subdivision, which enables it to be given conditional approval without requiring an interdepartmental circulation or planning report. And part of why it also was directed to the short version was it sits on the south periphery, basically, of what we recently concluded for our CN subdivision. So a lot of the circulation and work that would have been done on that part really had no bearing on this application. It's just a simple split of parcel. So the report that came back, the province of Manitoba through municipal relations have given the application a conditional approval. So just maybe so those that aren't aware, this would be the property that sits basically north of, to the northwest corner of Chicken Corral there. There is currently now a physiotherapist in the building that is created there. The applicant wants to actually divide off that small piece of property and leave the residual for a different purpose. So through the review conducted by the province, they basically said that for this to go forward, approve from the town to say that we agree with the subdivision, basically. But then, before he can do anything else, he has to do a few things. The Land Titles Office will require a 2-lot plan of subdivision drawn by a Manitoba surveyor. PDF copy of the plan of subdivision showing the total area of each lot, new roads and any public reserves, calculated by a surveyor in either square feet or square meters has to be provided. Written confirmation that the taxes on the land to be subdivided for the current year plus arrears have been paid, or arrangements satisfactory to council. And then he has to obtain an approved conditional use order that will provide for the location of the commercial or trade school in the highway commercial CH zone. And this would be the applicant's responsibility to do that after he, if I should say, he receives your approval for the subdivision to proceed. And then he has to get a variation order as well, reducing the minimum site area from 20,000 square feet to 11,109.85 square feet for the new lot, and 6,052.5 square feet for the residual lot. The variation order also must reduce the minimum site width from 100 feet to 60 feet for the residual lot in the commercial highway zone. And then, of course, he has to do all of the easement agreements with Manitoba Hydro Century Gas, which at this point, for this one, is not required. Confirmation that a right-of-way agreement has been entered into with Bell MTS, or that one is not required. And of course, conservation and climate, environmental operations, that any on-site wastewater management system is in compliance with provincial regulations, and where it is situated there, we hook to town services anyway, so that really doesn't apply. Westman Communication Groups, whether, you would have to confirm whether an easement is required there as well. Note the following: removal or relocation of any public or private utilities as a result of the proposed subdivision will be at the expense of the developer or the customer. And that's kind of the summary. If you have any questions.
No, are there any questions or any comments?
Yes, the question.
Councilor Drive.
When development, or potentially if and when development does occur at that subdivision, will members of the community who are within that affected region still have time to make comment on any potential future builds, if we're requiring any easements or things like that?
Conditional, I think there's a process for conditional use where there's public hearing.
Okay, as long as the public hearing is still in place, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's an important point, Councilor Drive.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, anybody else? Okay, if we're comfortable with that, then we're going to move forward with the resolution. Moved by Deputy Mayor Headley and Councilor Drive.
Got one.
Seconded by Councilor Drive. Be it resolved that we approve subdivision 4437-20-8231 of Murray Parrot to subdivide lot P, plan 56726, PT, Southwest 33-14-15W, subject to the following conditions. That a conditional use order be obtained providing for the location of the commercial or trade school in the highway commercial CH zone, and that a variation order be obtained reducing the site area from 20,000 square feet to 11,199.85 square feet for the new lot, and 6,052.55 square feet for the
Residual,
thank you, residual lot.
not the residential.
Yeah, no, thank you. All in favor? Carried. I don't have that problem.
Just the math.
I know exactly. Okay, I'll go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, we're good. Okay, good.
We love it.
Okay, that's it, except if anybody has any other business they wish to discuss? Anything in the COVID world anybody wants to talk about?
Well, there is a great importance for everyone to take this quite seriously. What is happening is that our health systems are becoming overwhelmed, and we don't want to be having remote hospitals set up for normal recovery patients. If everyone does their part and restricts their movement, washes their hands, carries little spray bottles, wear your mask, we'll be able to maintain a semblance of our healthcare system. It should be taken seriously.
Yeah, I think you kind of said what we all kind of believe, I think, at the table, right? That we're trying to protect the hospitals, right? Because if the hospitals get overwhelmed, then it's not only the people who have COVID, but it's also the people that are looking for surgery, the people that are having a heart attack, the people that are doing cancer care. I mean, the whole thing snowballs, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to do our due diligence to make sure that the hospitals are allowed to function as well as they can without being overloaded. So, yeah, no, I agree completely. We need to do the best we can to follow the rules of what the government gives us.
so many beds, and so much equipment, and so much personnel.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Yes, I agree with all that. Anybody else?
Yeah, Julie has one last comment to make.
And Councilor Jordan?
Yes, I should just make one comment that I did, over the past weekend, I did stop in and congratulate Prairie Trichomes on their opening on Main Street, which was nice to see that the business in the old Murray's building, that vacancy is filled now in Neepawa. So,
Yeah, you know, I think that's a good point. It's so nice to see that downtown area, I mean, that building's been there forever, and they've done such a great job of
yeah,
cleaning it up, and it looks spectacular there, and it's good for them. You know?
yes.
Yeah, no, that's a great addition to our community. And Jody, do you have something for us?
I was just gonna remind the residents to ensure they light up Neepawa and get some Christmas lights out on their houses or in their windows or on their trees outside, and everybody drive around and have a look or go for a walk.
Councilor Nadeau, you always have a spectacular show. Have you lit up yet?
Yes, my lights, one Sunday night, so.
Councilor Pudlow, you always do as well. When can we anticipate yours coming online?
We'll see. Unfortunately, there was an experience I didn't appreciate back in July that kind of wiped out a lot of.
Oh, okay. Your inventory's been depleted, okay.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess someone got wet, eh?
Be a Grinch a little on this year.
Yeah.
I'll loan you mine.
Okay, that's it. I guess we'll move on to adjournment. Moved by Councilor Pudlow, seconded by Councilor Costa. Be it resolved, the Council of Town of Neepawa do now adjourn this regular meeting of council at 7:40 p.m. All in favor? Carried.